Hey, what's up, boys and girls, and welcome to Bleeding Priest Bay Area Metal Spotlight. And I've been putting it off for as long as I can, but you knew eventually, if I'm talking about Bay Area metal, I was gonna have to talk about this fucking band. And I'm covering Metallica's "And Justice for All" for a lot of different reasons. It's not necessarily my favorite Metallica album, but it's definitely up there. I think probably Ride the Lightning is my favorite, but that album gets talked about so much. Actually, this album does too, but well, let's just get into it. So, in '88, when this album came out, I was pretty burnt out on Metallica by then. And I don't blame it on them, really. Like, they were still putting out killer albums. Master of Puppets was awesome, and Garage Days was great. It was because of the school I went to, the high school I went to in Daly City, Westmore High School. When I was a freshman, when I first went to that school, there were a lot of metalheads, or excuse me, back then they called them rockers. There were a lot of rockers and stoners at my school, like mostly seniors and juniors. But by the time I was a junior, they were all gone, and there was no rocker or metalhead freshmen or sophomores, hardly any. And like my senior year, I was the only rocker in my graduating class. So they were far and few between in Daly City, pretty much, But at my school, it was pretty non-existent. But the rockers and metalheads that were there, there was two groups. There was the ones that were the stoners that loved Pink Floyd, and the others all worshiped Metallica. So I thought those would be the ones I could, be like-minded with and connect with. But no, because, I wasn't just a Metallica fan. I was a thrash metal fan, and I was way beyond Metallica by 1988. By the time this album came out, like, Creator was probably my favorite band at the time. fucking Terrible Certainty. Holy shit. And Extreme Aggression. So anyways, I was listening to Creator and Coroner and Frost and all these killer underground bands from Europe, a lot of European bands. So like when I approached these Metallica fans, I would thinking that they're thrash metal fans as well, but no, 90% of Metallica fans are just Metallica fans. They're not thrash metal fans. Even back then, it seemed like. So, anyways, I would talk to them like, "Oh, you're into Metallica, cool. Check this out. Check out this band Creator," and they would have none of it. They wouldn't even give it a chance. They weren't even interested in hearing what kind of thrash metal is coming out on the other side of the world and what another band might be doing in the thrash metal world. All they cared about was Metallica. That's it. Even Slayer was like asking too much for them to listen to. Maybe a little Megadeth, but so it's not really Metallica's fault that I got out of them. It was just an oversaturation in Daly City of Metallica. So anyways, when this album came out, I didn't rush out to buy it. Let's put it that way. And I knew it was out for a few weeks. Everyone was talking about it, and I'm not gonna lie, I was really curious what it sounded like. So I eventually went to my buddy's house, Gil. He bought it, which was really uncharacteristic of him because he wasn't really listening to Metallica by that point either. He was already listening to Gigi Allen and shit and the Mentors. But he bought it. I went to his house and wanted to hear it. And I remember sitting in his bedroom, sitting on his bed, and he put the record on. And I was asking him, well, like, what do you think of it? He's like, oh, I'll just let you listen to it. Like, I was like, huh. I don't know if that's a good endorsement or a bad endorsement. So he put the record on, and he left the room, and he was gone the whole time. Like, he was doing chores for his mom or something. He was upstairs. I was sitting in his room, and so this record is a double album, with 2 songs per side, and 3 songs on side 3. So it's really spread out. But I'm going to be honest, halfway through side 3, I was snoring. I was out on his bed, out cold. And I remember him waking me up, and I was like, huh? And side 3, like the needle was going, it was like went all the way to the center. And he's like, oh, you liked it that much, huh? And I was like, ah. So yeah, I thought the drums sounded weird. Obviously, everyone was kind of taken aback when they first heard the kick drum. But that wasn't the reason. The songs didn't connect with me. And I already had like a foregone conclusion that I wasn't going to like this album just because of my experiences with people at school. And I thought the songs were long and boring. So I didn't listen to it again for a while. But I can't remember why, but at some point I did buy it because this is my copy I've had since 1988. And I remember listening to it at home and giving it a really, really solid listen, giving it a chance. I made it all the way to the end of side 4, to the end of Dyer's Eve. And I loved the first song and the last song. And everything else in between I just thought was rubbish. Really, I just didn't dig it. And I didn't listen to that album for 30 years. And Metallica was off my radar for about 30 years. I just lost interest in them completely. This is the last Metallica album I've bought. I haven't bought a Metallica album since then. I've acquired copies of the Black Album. I have like 2-3 copies of it on CD somehow, and I've acquired a copy of Garage Inc. and a few other albums, but I'm kind of rambling here. But so flash forward 30 years later, like around 2018 or something, I decided to put this album on. I don't know what possessed me to put it on, and I was fucking blown away by it. And I felt like a fool, actually, that I had deprived myself of this kick-ass record for 30 fucking years. And two of the reasons I love this album are two of the reasons why so many people hate this record. I think the drums sound fucking incredible. I mean, why don't we just start with the obvious, the kick drums. I mean, Jesus Christ. I love the way the kick drum sounds on this record. Do I want every album to sound like this? No. But for this record, it was revolutionary. I mean, every fucking metal band in the world, whether it was thrash metal, power metal, death metal, tried to replicate this kick drum sound after this album came out. Tell me I'm wrong. Pantera, every Scott Burns produced death metal album from the early 90s. It all had that ultra clicky, like typewriter kind of kick drum sound, which still exists today in all kinds of genres of metal, in every genre, subgenre of metal. So the drums are revolutionary just for the kick drums alone, but the rest of the drums sound killer too. The snare is tight and crisp. The toms sound incredible, great tone. They cut through. They're so prominent in the mix. The drums are really loud in the mix, so obviously I like that. But I think the drums sound incredible. The other reason I love this album, for another reason that most people hate this album, or a lot of people hate this album, is the fact that there is no bass. I gotta tell you, I don't like bass that much. And bass is my least favorite instrument in metal. No diss to my bass player friends and my fellow bass players in the bands I'm in. I play with two of the best bass players in the game. Damien from Death Angel and Tom from Nefarious. They're both incredible bass players. And guess what? Neither one of them are in my onstage mix. I have zero bass in my mix when I'm listening to music while I'm playing. When I'm listening to the band while I'm playing. I hear rhythm guitar. That's all I want to hear is a jun 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 jun, and I want to lock in with that. I want to be as tight as I possibly can with the jun 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 jun. And if the bass player wants to go do 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 all around that, that's great. It's fucking awesome. But I don't have to hear it. And when I play with Death Angel, I have all Rob and a little bit of Ted, and that's it. And my kick drums. Just like Injustice for All, I have the Injustice for All monitor mix with every band I play in. So somehow this album spoke to me 30 years ago, and I was just too dumb to realize. So yeah, man, I love the no bass sound on this record. Again, I don't want every other album to sound like this. But bass is overrated in metal, man. I'm kidding. I love you bass players, but and I believe that's what Lars Ulrich focuses on when he when he plays with Metallica. He listens to James, and that's all about the rhythm guitar. So it's a good representation of what Metallica really sounds like at this time. And I like those two aspects of the album. The songs, I think, are fucking incredible. This is like a flawed masterpiece. The only drawback on this record are the length of some of the songs. They revisit ideas too many times in one song. They go back to the same part later in the song unnecessarily sometimes, and it makes the songs kind of drag on a little bit. If they had chopped down a couple of the songs, it would have even been that much better. But that's a small detail. I mean, I'd rather have a song be too long than too short, I guess. So yeah, James still sounds great. His vocals are still youthful and raspy and kick-ass, and yeah, man, I fucking love this album now. I'm a huge endorser of this record. Lars's drumming is fantastic on it. I mean, come on, man. He's doing shit that's fucking hard to pull off, man. Hard to figure out, even to this day. And like, it's really trendy and the norm to rip on Lars Ulrich's drumming. And sure, these days his drumming might be erratic and sometimes inconsistent. But dude, he was on top of his game in 1988 on Justice for All, and any drummer that rips on this album is a fucking idiot. I'm sorry, but his drumming is fantastic on this record, and yeah, I fucking love this album. And I know it started out, this video started out as a down on Metallica thing, but it's not. I love this album. I love the first 4 albums, and I respect Metallica still to this day. I'm glad they're still around, and they deserve everything they have. They are the godfathers of thrash, and deservedly so. So yeah, I got myself out of that one, huh? See ya.